I've always believed that my father died before I turned one. That's what my mother claimed. That's what relatives insisted. That's what I grew accustomed to believing. My childhood passed without major troubles or joys, just calmly. Mom and I lived alone in a modest cottage on the edge of a small town in the Czech Republic. It was old, with creaky floors, worn shutters, and the aroma of freshly brewed tea in the mornings. Mom was demanding but affectionate. She worked as a paramedic, coming home late, exhausted, but always finding a smile for me. About my father, I had only one portrait, a sepia photo in a frame on the nightstand, a man in uniform with a firm gaze and a hint of a smirk. Mom described him as brave and tender, adding that he left saving others' lives. I didn't ask questions. As a child, I took her words at face value. But even children sense inconsistencies. There were moments when Mom would start talking about him and suddenly fall silent. Her eyes would cloud with tears, not grief, remorse. I noticed it but didn't comprehend. It seemed like ordinary longing. At 8 years old, I asked, "Mom, how did Dad leave?" She froze as if a lump stuck in her throat. Then she forced out, "An accident," and immediately changed the subject. That's when I first suspected she was hiding something. Time passed. I came to terms with losing my father, but inside there was a void. In class, listening to classmates talk about their dads, I stayed quiet. When asked, "Where's yours?" I replied curtly, "He died." People sighed sympathetically, and I felt like a traitor, even though I was repeating what I believed myself. On my 9th birthday, Mom gave me a watch. "It was your father's," she said, and I accepted it with awe. Old silver with an engraving on the back. "Goodbye, T." "Who's T?" I asked. Mom tensed. "That's his uncle," and hastily added, "He left with him." It seemed suspicious, but I said nothing. I accepted the watch as a relic. But now I realize that's when the deception cracked. At 10, we moved. Mom explained that there were too many shadows of the past in the old house. A new town in Slovakia, a new school, a fresh start. But you can't hide from the past. The father's portrait came with us. The watch rested in the nightstand, and at night I pondered him. Once, while Mom was on duty, I rummaged for batteries for a remote and stumbled upon an ancient box. Inside were letters. Yellowed, folded in half, tied with string. On the envelopes, the name repeated, Tomas Novik. And the addressee, my mother's name. I didn't know who it was, but intuition whispered it was him, my father. I wanted to unfold at least one, but footsteps in the hallway made me put everything back. When Mom entered, I stood with the remote, pretending to search for batteries. She glanced at the box, then at me. "What were you rummaging for?" "Nothing, just," I started, but she guessed. Her features twisted, panic flashed in her eyes. She grabbed the box, clutched it to her chest, and whispered, "Never go in there, clear." I nodded, but from then on, questions kept me awake. Adolescence only amplified the doubts. Mom stubbornly claimed father left, but avoided details. When I pressed, she got angry. "Lucas, why stir it up? The past can't be brought back." But I deserved to know who he was. He was who he was, period. Sometimes at night, I caught her phone conversations. Quiet, tense, almost whispering. Sometimes sobs. Once I overheard, "No, he's in the dark, and he'll stay that way as long as I breathe." Those words etched into my memory. At school, I was angry, at everyone, at Mom, at the ghostly father. Teachers complained I was detached, irritable. Friends avoided family topics. I despised every question, "Where's your dad?" because I couldn't give an honest answer. Mom tried to be perfect, but a barrier grew between us. We could eat in silence, watch movies without a word. I felt she feared openness. At 14, I stumbled upon that box again. Now deliberately. Mom was out on night shift, and I, trembling, untied the string. The letters were old, but clearly written. Handwriting confident, even. The first began, "Elena, I miss you and the boy. I don't understand the silence. I stopped by the other day, but you didn't open. Please give a sign that you're safe." The boy. He mentioned me. I read the next. "I keep that photo where he's sleeping in my arms." He must have grown. Don't let him believe I abandoned you. My hands shook. Time froze. Father is alive. And everything Mom claimed for 14 years, a lie. When Mom returned, I sat at the table with the letters out in the open. She froze in the doorway, saw them, and sighed quietly, as if everything inside her collapsed. Where did you? Why did you lie? Luca's eye. He's alive, he wrote he wanted to meet. Why? Why did you declare him dead? She sat across, buried her face in her hands, and burst into tears. But these weren't sobs of loss. This was regret. You won't understand, she whispered. It was complicated. Then explain. I can't. Can't or won't. She lifted her gaze. There was so much torment in it that I faltered. I was protecting you, Lucas. From whom? From him, from reality. She was silent. She only whispered, You'll realize someday. I didn't realize, not then for sure. I left, slamming the door, and for the first time felt I couldn't trust her. The person I considered my rock turned out to be the builder of a 25-year deception. That night I didn't sleep. I reread the letters, absorbing every line, every phrase. He's alive, he wrote. He searched for us. And Mom did everything to keep me in the dark. Why? What is she hiding? And who is my father really? That night I vowed to myself, I'll find him. At any cost. After that night, something inside me broke. Childish faith in Mom's infallibility, her honesty vanished. Now I saw her differently, as someone who lies, hides, fears. And worst of all, I didn't understand why. For a week, we barely spoke. I avoided her. She pretended everything's fine. But the air in the house thickened, like you could cut it. She tried to restore routine. Meals, questions about school, how are you? But fear shone in her eyes. Fear that I'd bring up Dad. And of course I did. Mom, who is he? I asked during dinner. She froze with spoon in hand. Who? My father, the real one. I already explained. No, you lied. She looked at me like I'd stabbed her. Luca's enough, we won't discuss it. Why? Because it's not your concern. Those words hurt. Not my concern to know who my father is. I stood, swept the bowl off the table. It shattered on the floor. Mom gasped and I just exhaled. Then I'll find out myself. From that day, an obsession took hold. I didn't know where to start, but I sensed the answer was near. The letters were my only clue. Name Tomas Novik. I started basic, the internet. It was the early 2000s, data was scarce, but I spent hours in the school library, digging through catalogs, chats, archived publications. Nothing. The name too common, too many years. But one day I stumbled on an old newspaper article. Fire in building on River Street, man named Tomas Novik, 28, injured. The date roughly matched when Mom declared father died. Only the article said he survived. My heart pounded. I printed the article and hid it under my pillow. That evening, I couldn't look at Mom. Every breath, every word seemed false. I wanted to scream, but inside was ice. Everything started crumbling. School went downhill, friends drifted away. I became nervous, isolated. They dragged me to the school counselor, but I couldn't tell what was happening. That my father is alive, and Mom has been staging a play for 20 years. Once I dug into the drawer with papers where the letters were kept. Now purposefully. And found it. Birth certificate. Mother's name, Elena Novik. Father's name, Tomas Novik. I read, hands shaking. Not a coincidence. This is him. The man whose lines I studied, whose name Mom tried to erase from my life. When Mom returned, I sat on the sofa with the document in my hands. She saw it and went pale, as if blood drained away. Lucas, why did you keep his last name? I asked calmly. If you wanted me not to know, why not erase it? Because, she faltered. Because you still loved him. She turned away. I didn't hear an answer, but the silence said more. Months dragged on. Mom became even more detached. Sometimes I heard her lock herself in her room and talk on the phone. I didn't know with whom, but the tone held anxiety. One deep night I caught. "He's digging. If he finds out, it's over." I froze at the door. "He's digging." She was talking about me. "If he finds out, it's over." I didn't sleep until dawn. In the morning, I turned to my school friend, Max. He was a year older, tech-savvy, and I trusted him like family. Max helped find someone. He was surprised, but agreed. "Sure, who?" "My father." I showed him the article, letters, copy of the certificate. He chuckled. "Sounds like a movie, but let's do it." We dug through registries, addresses, repositories. Nothing definite. But one day he noted, "Hey, what if he's in another country? Maybe changed his name. Or maybe someone made him disappear." Those words stuck in my brain. Made him disappear. One day I got bold and asked Mom point blank, "Did he leave on his own, or did you drive him away?" She lifted her eyes, panic flashed. "Lucas, I don't want to dig into that. I know he's alive, saw his name, saw the letters. Why are you hiding him?" She was silent for a long time, then quietly said, "Because he's dangerous." I was stunned. "What?" "You won't get it," she whispered. "He did something terrible." I froze. "What exactly?" "Don't pry." "No, you have to." "Lucas," she exploded. "He almost killed someone." I stood, feeling the world tilt. "Is that true?" She didn't meet my eyes. "Yes, that's why I ran. I was saving you." I didn't know whether to believe or not. After everything, how? Maybe another lie, or maybe she really was protecting. But suspicion took root. If he's a monster, why do the letters breathe sincerity, warmth, and suffering? Do monsters write, "Tell him I miss him"? At 17, I decided, I'll find out myself. Not through her. Not through gossip. I went to the town where I was born. To the address from the old newspaper, River Street. The building had long burned down, a vacant lot in its place. A neighbor, an elderly lady, said, "Yes, I remember the Noviks, decent people. He survived then, later moved east somewhere. Things were fine with the child until they disappeared." "What child?" I asked. "Well, the son, a baby." My heart clenched. "And his wife?" "Oh, Alina, she vanished first, and he searched for her, searched, then gave up." I stood on the site of my childhood home, and time seemed to stop. Turns out he didn't leave us, she took me away from him. That evening I returned. Mom sat at the table, drinking herbal tea as if nothing. I sat across and said, "I was there." She slowly lifted her gaze. "Where?" "On River Street." The cup slipped from her fingers. "Use how?" "I know he didn't abandon us, that you left." "Lucas, I—" "Enough," I yelled. "How much longer will you lie?" She burst into tears. "I did it all for you." "No, for yourself, to seem right." Silence, only the ticking of the wall clock. Then she whispered, "If you keep digging, you'll regret it." It wasn't just fear in her tone. It was a threat. That's when I realized, behind this drama, not just family squabbles. Something bigger. Something she's silent about. I almost stopped communicating with her. Moved in with a friend, started working after school, and devoted all free time to searches. A couple months later, found another mention of Tomas Novik in a police report from 20 years ago. Case of violence. Victim unknown. Accused Tomas Novik. Case closed. I printed the report, studied it repeatedly. There it is, her terrible crime. But why closed? Why no verdict? And mainly, if he's truly dangerous. Why in the lines does he beg to meet his son? "Don't let him believe I abandoned you." "I'll fix it, give me a chance." "I'm not who I seem." Those phrases spun in my mind. I began to understand. Mom didn't just lie, she rebuilt my fate. At 18, I packed and left. Officially, for university. In reality, for freedom, a new beginning, and the final truth. Mom sobbed, begged me to stay. Lucas, you're wrong. No, Mom, you were wrong 25 years ago. I slammed the door and didn't look back. I thought I was leaving only deception. But I didn't know. That's when I approached the truth that would turn everything upside down. Years passed. I thought I'd detached from the past. After university, moved to another city in Germany, found work, rented a place, typical adult routine. New faces, new habits, peace without reproaches, without heated talks. I called Mom rarely, on holidays out of courtesy. She still lived in that cottage, alone. Sometimes her tone held sadness, but we both knew. The wall between us was unbreakable, and neither dared to break it. Sometimes at night, I recalled the letters. About the man I didn't know, but who perhaps spent his life trying to get me back. About the woman ready to lie to erase him. Sometimes I caught the thought, what if she really saved me? What if the truth was too horrific to accept? But then I remembered his words, tell him I miss him, and it boiled inside. Almost 20 years since the night I learned father was alive. I turned 35. Life settled, steady job, rental girlfriend named Sophia. She was the first I opened part of this saga to. You never met him? She asked once as we sat on the terrace with glasses of wine. No, and didn't try to find him. Tried in youth, but circumstances were against. She pondered. And now? Now, I smirked, probably too late. Sophia looked at me like no one before. It's never too late for the truth. Her words stuck in my head. That night I didn't sleep. Pulled out the old box I'd carried for years. Letters, printouts, birth certificate, clipping. I sifted through them like artifacts of the past, and suddenly noticed what I'd missed before. On one envelope, a return address. P.O. Box 921, Krakow, Poland. I don't know why I hadn't seen it earlier, probably too angry for details. Now everything inside came alive. A couple days later, took time off. Told Sophia I'd sort family matters. She understood without explanation. I went to Krakow. The city greeted me with overcast sky and rain scent. I didn't know what to expect, that I'd arrive, find the box, and what. But instinct said, must. The post office on the corner of 7th Street looked almost like in archive photos. I entered, showed the clerk a copy. Did you have a P.O. box with this number? She frowned. Old, wait, dug into the system, added. Yes, but the renter terminated 10 years ago. Name, I asked, though I knew. Tomas Novik. My heart skipped. Contacts left. Sorry, no, we don't keep personal data. I nodded, thanked, and left. Rain intensified. I stood under the awning, watching drops roll down the sidewalk, and realized I'm closer than ever. That evening in the motel, pulled out the computer and dug. Tomas Novik, Krakow. Tomas Novik, Poland. Tomas Novik address. Many matches, but one popped. Tomas A. Novik, 59, owner of an auto shop in Poland. Photo old, blurry, but in the eyes I recognized him. The same gaze from the home portrait, just aged, weary, but alive. I held my breath, staring at the screen. He's alive. He's somewhere here. Next morning, I drove to the address from the site. Small auto shop on the outskirts, rickety hangar, sign Novik Auto Service. At the entrance, a gray-haired man in oily clothes. I got out of the car, heart pounding like a drum. Approached. Excuse me, are you Tomas Novik? He turned. His gaze froze on me for a moment. Then slowly, like in slow motion, he pulled off his glove. Yes, and you? I couldn't speak. Chest tight, throat dry. My name is Lucas. The name hung. He stared long, then quietly. Lucas. In his eyes, everything mixed. Bewilderment, anticipation, fear. Lucas' son. I nodded. He set down tools, stepped forward but froze, as if afraid I'd vanish. Then whispered, God, you've grown. We settled in the tiny office of the shop. He poured coffee, hands shaking. Can't believe it's you. So many years I tried to find any trace. I was silent, didn't know where to start. He spoke. Your mother, I didn't know where you vanished. I came, searched, but the house was empty. Neighbors said you left without a trace. She declared you dead, I forced out. He paled. Dead. I nodded. I thought you were gone my whole life, until I found your letters. He buried his face in his hands. God, she declared. He cut off. Why? I hoped you'd explain. He paused, then sighed. We argued harshly, but not because of you, because of a mess I got into. I recalled Mom's words. He did something terrible. Is this about that case, the violence? I asked. He lifted his gaze. You know. A little. He nodded, pondered. It was a mistake. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He told slowly, as if returning to horror. He worked in fire service. One night called to a fire where someone died. Then investigation, turned out deliberate arson. And someone pointed at him. First suspicions, interrogations, rumors, suspension. She couldn't handle it, he said she didn't want to raise a son near an arsonist. I tried to prove I was framed, but she left with you. I sat stunned. But you were cleared. Yes, but too late. No one believed, and I gave up. He fell silent. We sat in quiet, only water dripping behind the wall audible. I wanted to find you, he said quietly. Wrote, called, traveled, addresses, then letters returned. I understood. She doesn't want me to see you. He looked at me. And here you are. I nodded. I had to know. He smiled. You know, I dreamed of this day, 25 years. We talked long. About life, work me his life. He showed photos of his new family, wife, teenage daughter. I felt strange, jealousy, joy, pain, relief. Like looking at a life that could have been mine, but passed by. As the sun set, he offered. Want to see something? We went behind the shop. There stood an old Skoda, dusty. This was your cradle, he chuckled. Kidding, but you rode in it at 2. I just bought it. We drove to the river. I ran my hand over the hood. It all seemed a dream. Before leaving, I asked, why didn't you try to contact later, when I grew up? He sighed heavily. I tried but hit a wall. Your mother, he faltered. She once on the phone told me to leave you alone, and if I don't stop, she'll go to the authorities. I felt anger boil. She said that to you? Yes, and I believed, thought maybe you don't want to see me. He looked sadly. Sorry I didn't fight harder. I nodded. It's not your fault. As I drove away, he handed an envelope. Here's my address and something else. Inside in the car, I found an old photo, Mom, him, and me. I was tiny, sitting on his lap. They both beamed. On the back. For our family, forever. That evening in the motel, I stared at the photo until my eyes watered. I realized my whole life was an echo of one lie. One fear. One choice Mom made 25 years ago. But I didn't know the truth I uncovered was only half. The other half still waited. I thought I was ready for anything. After what I learned about Mom, after guesses, letters, and meetings with Tomas, I was convinced nothing could truly surprise. I was wrong. A few weeks passed since the last meeting. Mom stopped talking to me. She avoided even looks, walked the house like a shadow, silently, cautiously, with downcast eyes. And I couldn't figure who the traitor was. Sometimes, deep at night, I heard her sobs in the bathroom. Quiet so not to wake, but I heard anyway. I wanted to forgive, but couldn't. Everything I knew about my life was false. One day Tomas called. Voice trembling, but he tried to stay calm. Lucas, I need to show you something. Something new. Yes, better come today. I didn't ask, just got in the car and drove. He lived an hour's drive from the city, in a rickety house on a hill. The house seemed abandoned like the surroundings. When I entered, he waited, at the table, envelope in hands. This letter, he said, your mom wrote me. Another's? No, the final one. After it, she vanished from my life. He unfolded the yellowed sheet and handed it. Mom's handwriting, I recognized immediately. Tom, please don't search for us. It's dangerous. I know you're innocent, but the situation's out of control. If you continue, they'll find you. And him too. Sorry. I reread repeatedly. They'll find you. It's dangerous. Who are they? I asked. Tomas shook his head. Don't know, but I think it's not just fear. You think she was pursued? Yes, and maybe not only her. We went to the archive of the old police station. Tomas said he once tried to find out what happened to Mom after her disappearance, but files were lost. That day we found a box. On it, NOVAK, ELENA, confidential. Dusty, forgotten, but not destroyed. I opened. Inside documents, photos, report copy. Headlined, Incident on Route 49, 1999, hijacking, attack, missing witness. I read and chills ran. Father's name there. And Mother S. Per report, father was a witness in a major fraud case, money laundering and schemes in the clinic where he did accounting. He prepared to testify. A week before trial, attacked. He survived, but his wife vanished, my mother. Only in the report, different name. Elena Novik wanted. Not as victim, as suspect. This is absurd, I muttered. She couldn't. Lucas, look, Tomas showed a photo. Mom young beaming next to a stranger, not father. Caption, Elena Novik and Dr. Martin Burge, 1998. Who's this? The one father was going to testify against. The world flipped again. Mom linked to the man who nearly killed father. I couldn't believe. So you think she couldn't finish? I think, Tomas said quietly, she once got into something she couldn't control, and maybe tried to protect you. I returned late. Mom sat in the kitchen in the dark. As if waiting. You were with him? She asked, not lifting eyes. Yes. He showed you. Yes, everything. She was silent, then stood, went to the window, and said, I knew this would happen. What, Mom, what would happen? That the truth would catch up to you. I couldn't hold back. Then tell everything, enough secrets, I deserve it. She turned, and for the first time I saw how she'd aged. Eyes horror and exhaustion. Fine, she said quietly, but after you might hate me forever. Just tell. She told everything. 25 years ago, she worked as a paramedic in a private clinic. There met my father, accountant, honest, kind. They fell in love, married, I was born. But soon father learned management, laundered money through fake accounts. He gathered evidence, planned a hand to authorities. Then Mom made a mistake. She shared with Dr. Burge, someone she trusted. Didn't know he headed the scheme. A week later, father attacked. He survived, but realized leak from someone close. Suspected her. Mom tried to explain, but too late. Case surfaced, police investigated. To protect me, she hid. Accused her of aiding. I knew I was watched, she said, trembling. Saw people at the house, cars parked days, realized if I stay, they'll get to you. And you just vanished. Yes, changed last name, thought your father died. They told me he didn't survive. Who told? Those who wanted my silence. She fell silent, then added. Learned he was alive only when you found the letters. I didn't know what to say. Anger, pity, fear, all mixed. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid, she whispered. If you started digging, they'd find us. Who are they? She looked and her gaze chilled me. They're still here, Lucas, and if you continue, they'll get to you too. A few days passed. I tried to digest, but inside felt the saga wasn't over. Too many coincidences. Too many shadows. I called Tomas, wanted to discuss. No answer. I drove to him. Door ajar. Inside, chaos, papers scattered, table overturned. On floor, that envelope. And Tomas gone. I stood in Tomas's house, heart hammering. Air thick with dust and metal. On floor, signs of struggle. Chair toppled, curtain torn, broken cup on tile. But worse, silence. Such that you hear the lamp crackling above. I picked up the letter, just 5 words. If you're reading, they've returned. I didn't understand who they. And how long had he known it was coming? I left. Tomas's car by the house. Door ajar, keys in ignition. In glovebox, phone, off. I pressed on screen, 1 new voicemail. I listened. Tomas's voice, agitated, broken. Lucas, think I have a tail, don't call. If something happens, look for folder in garage. Answers there. Trust no one, even her. Even her. Goosebumps. He meant Mom. Garage locked, but lock gave. Inside, smell of fuel and old wood. I turned on light, saw metal box on shelf. On lid, case 47. Inside, file, recorder, old camera. I pressed play. Tomas's voice. If anyone's listening, I'm too late. In 1999, Alina Novik vanished after testimony. But case closed, though evidence didn't disappear. Scheme through Eurohealth Fund. Backed by powerful people. I thought end, but they're back. Pause. They're searching for her again, Lucas. Because she's the only one who knows where the unfound files from the 90s are hidden. I turned off. Head buzzing. Files. Hidden evidence. That's why Mom's threatened. I drove out of garage when noticed lights behind. First 1 car, then second. I turned, sped up, but they followed. Chills. Not coincidence. I reached nearest parking, stopped under light. Cars passed, but feeling of surveillance lingered. At home, Mom by window. Where were you? Quietly asked. With Tomas. Lucas, you can't go there. Why? Because he's gone. She paled. What? He's missing, Mom, house trashed and in car this. I laid the letter. She took, hands trembled. No, impossible. Mom, who are they? She paused, then sighed. People who set that up, thought they left or died, but if Tomas right, they want documents. Which? Copies of financial ledgers, they prove laundering through dummy accounts. Father hid them, I didn't know where. And you think they believe I know? She nodded. That's why you couldn't search for him. Suddenly knock. Loud, persistent. Mom tensed. Don't move, went to door. I peeked outside, black SUV, no plates. 2 in suits, 1 with envelope. Mrs. Novik, voice. Federal Service, questions. She didn't open. ID. 1 held to glass, but even from afar, fake. Mom paled. Luca's back door now. What? They're not for me, for you. We bolted into night. Cold burned. Behind footsteps, voices. There they are. We dashed through garden, jumped fence. Mom tripped, I caught. Faster. Headlights behind. Shot, glass nearby shattered. We reached forest, hid behind old barn. Mom breathed heavy, holding side. Wounded. No, just exhausted. She looked, eyes desperate. Lucas, if something happens to me, find him. Who? Your father, only he knows where files. Mom, enough, need to go. No, she shook head, while not too late. We got to old motel on highway. Room cramped, smell of tobacco and cheap cleaner. Mom sat on bed, covered face with hands. Tired of hiding, Lucas, 25 years. We'll find father, I said, he'll help. She looked as if wanted to add, but reconsidered. Then quietly, maybe too late. Why? Because he's not who he seems. Words cut. What do you mean? She fell silent. When learned he's alive, tried contact, but no answer, instead week later letter, no signature. What in it? Don't search for me, it's not over. I opened mouth but didn't manage. Headlights outside. Mom jumped. They found us. I peeked that SUV. Stopped at door. Mom pulled revolver from bag, old worn. Mom, you crazy. Won't let them take you. Door burst. Two rushed in. Shouts fight, one knocked me, mom shot. Noise, crash, flashes. Remember grabbed shoulder, blow, and darkness. Woke in car. Bound, gagged. Next, that man from door. Talking on phone. Yes, kid with us, woman escaped. What about Novik? Don't know, probably shot. He noticed I woke. Sleep, kid, not your fight. I jerked, but he hit face. World faded. Woke elsewhere. Basement, damp concrete walls. Hands bound. On table opposite, case 47 file. Next, Tomas envelope. Door opened. Man in suit entered. Sat across. Lucas calmly. You don't imagine how many want this saga left in past. I silent. We're not enemies, just say we're mother. Don't know. You do. He pulled photo, me with mom in motel. Cameras thought you can just vanish. He leaned. Where files, Lucas? Which, know nothing. He sighed as if regrets. Then you'll join her. He stood, nodded guard. That one pulled syringe. I realized end. Suddenly crash. Shot. Light out. Screams. Glass shattered. I fell with chair, managed hide. Door burst, silhouette in doorway. Gray coat, gun in hand. I recognized voice. Get up, Lucas, quick. It was my father. I didn't know if real or delusion. Crash flashes, shadow at threshold. And voice heard only in childhood, deep, low, familiar. Get up, Lucas, quick. I lifted head. Man in coat threw back hood. Gray face, wrinkles, gray beard, but eyes, those from portrait on mom's nightstand. Dad. He nodded. Later, now out. He cut ropes with knife. We broke into dark corridor. Siren wailed, red lights flashed. Stay close, he yelled, shooting lock. We burst outside. Night wind, smell of fuel and earth. Meters away, dark car, he opened. Get in. I got in, still unbelieving. He started, we tore off. 10 minutes silence. I couldn't find words. Finally forced. You're alive. Yes. All this time. He sighed. All this time. Why didn't you come for me? Why abandon us? He paused. Then quietly. Because if I did, you'd both die. We stopped at old warehouse outside. He pulled metal case from trunk, threw on table. Hear what they crave, he said. These files. I watched him open. Inside drive, old discs, photos, paper copies. All incriminating Eurohealth in laundering millions through fakes. He sat, rubbed temples. Thought I'd release and end, but miscalculated. What happened? When tried submit to services, someone inside leaked. Night they came, I barely survived. Accused your mother of aiding, didn't warn in time. When got home, you gone. He's silent. Later learned she alive, but if went, they'd follow you. I tried comprehend. And hid all time. Lived under alias, waited till they resurface. Why now? Why exactly now? Because someone reopened case, leaks, they decided it's you. Mom and I just sought truth. In such stories, truth costs dear, son. He looked, gaze weary, heavy. You look like her, Elena, stubborn and too brave. Where is she? I asked. He looked down. Don't know, but if alive, she'll find us. Then his phone rang. He looked screen and paled. It's her. He put on speaker. Elena. Tom. Mother's voice trembled. Luca's with you. Yes, where are you? Doesn't matter, main listen. They found me time short. Elena, father's voice firm, where? Don't come if see you together end. I cut in. Mom, where? Lucas, love you, sorry for all. Connection cut. Dad jumped. Let's go. Where? Know where she is. He tossed drive to me. Keep son, if anything, to press. Not authorities, not services, only reporters can still trust them. We arrived at abandoned parking by Old Bridge. Fog, flickering lights. Mom stood by concrete pillar, wrapped in coat. When saw us, eyes watered. You came anyway. Dad approached. Several moments they stood, gazing. 25 years deception, suffering, silence, all wordless. Thought you died, she said. I wanted you to think so, otherwise they'd find you. And now they did. I stood aside, not knowing what to say. It was like a dream or film climax, where heroes know they won't survive. Mom looked at me. Lucas, you have the drive. Yes. Then listen, go now. No, won't leave you. No debate. Dad pulled gun. Son, no time, they're here. Distant engine hum. Headlights, several cars. Run to car when I say 3, drive. Dad, I won't. 3. He pushed me. Shot. Bullets hit concrete. I fell, grabbed ground, then dashed. Behind screams, fire, noise. I looked back, saw Mom and Dad shooting, hiding behind pillars. Moment, one car exploded. I reached nearest town, barely holding wheel. Sirens distant. Hands shook. I turned radio. Heard news. Explosion at abandoned bridge outside town. Police found 2 bodies, identities pending. I shut off. Tears blurred. 2 days didn't leave motel. Didn't eat, didn't sleep. Just sat with drive. 3rd day decided. Found investigative reporter father mentioned. Sent drive all papers, Tomas letter copy. Week later, story out. Front pages. Eurohealth scandal, corruption, disappearances, murders, 25 years deception. Names, dates, schemes, all. World learned truth. But truth not free. Month later, letter. No address. Inside, foe. Mom and father. Alive against seaside village. Back. We're near, just live, son. Didn't know real or not. Maybe fake. Maybe hope. But every morning open drawer, look at photo and think. Maybe deception sometimes truly saves.